Hello there, YouTube, and welcome to another edition of the Iron Phantom's Black Book. I am your host, the Iron Phantom, and I am back telling you two more tales of fear and horror. And what stories I have for you today. Yes, and let us not delay it any longer. Here is the first story of this show tonight. It is called The Monster at the Foot of My Bed. Enjoy. A young boy named Harry was tucked up by his parents in bed one night. Wishing him good night and sweet dreams, the young boy, Harry, went to sleep. But as he went to sleep, he heard a creaking noise. Calling for his mother, she came to his aid and told him that it was nothing, just the floorboards cooling down, and told him to go to sleep. A couple of hours later, Harry then woke up and this time saw something at the foot of his bed. The creature got up and looked right at Harry, letting out a huge scream for his parents. They rushed into the room, and when they came in and turned on the light, it was gone. His parents telling him that he must have been having a nightmare, and asked if he would like to sleep in bed with them. His father not so happy with that arrangement, as he was 11 years old. He thought as long as he gets some sleep, he will be quiet. The next night, Harry's parents looked around the room and told him that there are no monsters in the house. Wishing him good night, he then went to sleep. Waking up in the early hours of the morning, he saw the monster again. This time, the monster had some bladed object and was about to kill him until he let out a huge scream once more. His parents rushed to his room and took him downstairs and gave him a hot chocolate. The father, looking around his room, found nothing, but the monster was outside the window, holding on to the walls of the house. His father then decided to set up a nanny cam to make sure that everything is fine when he sleeps. Watching the surveillance footage the next day, he found nothing and told Harry that he was just dreaming. So, now assured that there was no monster in the bed or the room, he went to sleep that night. Then he saw the monster once again in the early hours, this time being brave and convincing himself that it was only but his imagination. Then the monster got out a knife, and as it raised it, he kept telling the monster that it is his imagination, and then eventually screamed loud, shouting it. And that is when his parents heard him and walked into his room. His father hitting the monster with a baseball bat. He then shows his parents that it is the monster that has been tormenting him. His mother then said, "It is not a monster, Harry. It is a human being." Then Harry asked, "A human being?" His father then saying yes, and that when they came to Earth all those years ago, they wanted to live in peace and coexistence with the humans, but they wanted war and feared them, eventually leaving them no choice but to wipe out half the human race and take the planet by force, as their old world had died. The human, however, said, "I wanted peace too. But instead, we got destruction and chaos." His father then saying that a human hasn't been seen in a suburban neighborhood for the last 11 years. And Harry said, "What do we do to the human, father?" His mother then said, "Well, it is in our house, and it is a pest. And your father here works for pest control." His father said, "Yes, I will deal with this human." Did you enjoy that story? Did you enjoy the twist that was added onto it? I hope you did. Did you even see it coming? Well, let us get to the next tale in my black book. The final story for this episode is called My Friend Elmer. Let us begin. There was a young girl named Eva who had her friend Elmer. She would sit with her imaginary friend and have a tea party. Elmer, looking like a fat young adult man with a flat top and red hair, and some overalls with a stripy shirt, loved his friend Eva. One day when Eva was going downstairs to get some milk for their imaginary tea party, she saw her mother talking with a psychiatrist. Elmer then came down and said to her, "Why is she taking so long?" She told him that she is sorry and went back to the tea party. Many years later, when Eva is 16 years old, she still has her imaginary friend Elmer. As 16-year-old, she walks the street with Elmer, Then some youngsters pass by and throw an insult at them. Elma telling Eva that she could not stand for that. Telling Elma that it is okay. They then carried on walking, but Elma, he would not let it go. The next day, on the local news, 3 bodies of young teenage girls are being found. Eva looked at Elma and asked why he did it, telling her that they would not stop even if they did ignore her. A few weeks had passed by. The dog in the neighborhood was barking loud. Eva found it hard to sleep. Elma told Eva that he could stop the dog barking, telling him whatever he is thinking, not to do it. But then, as the night went on, Eva struggled to sleep. But then the dog stopped barking, and she then went into a natural slumber. The man who owned the dog was looking for him, not being able to find his dog. Eva then asked Elma if he has something to do with it. Elma telling her no. Then, of course, in the waiting room of a doctor's, Eva's mother goes and has a word with the psychiatrist, telling the doctor that it is getting worse, and why the imaginary friend still exists at that age. The doctor telling a traumatic event such as a car accident can really bring back some memories or trigger insecurity where they create the illusion of an old friend they may have made up. The psychiatrist telling the mother that it's a passing phase. If not, to go back to the doctor's place and prescribe stronger pills. The next day, Eva was at school. She was looked at funny as Elma walked past the school. In school, she was being completely ignored. Then Elma was outside waiting for her, telling her to let's go play. Then some kids walking past calling Eva a freak. Of course, she tells Elma to not intervene and that they will play. Elma then suggested to her to have a tea party. Eva and Elma then go home and have a tea party. Eva then tells Elma that isn't their relationship, their friendship, strange, as they are still having an imaginary friendship and Eva is 16. Elma telling her, no, you are my friend and we have made a pact friends to the end. The next day, Eva and Elmer were walking down the street, where some local boys spat at them both. Elmer turning around, looking angry, Eva then said to Elmer, "Come, let us go. Do not bother with them." Elmer taking that advice, but secretly plotting what he was going to do. Later that day, one of the boys is walking home, taking a shortcut through the woods. That is when Elmer comes out and hits him with a branch, beating him to death with it and begging Elmer to not kill him. But Elmer kept beating him until he was dead. Later that night, Eva and Elmer both sat and had another tea party. Then the mother walked into the room, opening the door, saying that it is 10:30 at night and to go to sleep, and then closing the door. Elmer then says to Eva, "We should get some shut-eye." Eva then asks Elmer where he was this afternoon. Elmer said, "Clearing his mind." The next morning on the news it is reported that a young boy has been murdered. Eva looks on the television, and it is the same boy that spat at them both. Eva then asked Elmer, why? Elmer saying because he was mocking them and was jealous of their friendship. The police then come and ask if they can talk to the person, if they can talk to their child. The mother tells the police yes, along with the psychiatrist. They then go into the bedroom where Eva and Elmer are sat. The psychiatrist then says to the police, "Please, let me help." The doctor then sits on the bed next to Elmer and Eva and asks if Elmer has been taking his pill. Elmer says no. Then the doctor looks in the bedroom drawer and finds months worth of pills discarded and empty. He then says to Elmer that he should be taking his medication. Eva then telling Elmer why have you not been taking your medication? Elmer saying, "Because you are my friend, and if I take the pills, you will go away." The psychiatrist then says to Elmer, "Eva is not real. She died 10 years ago in the car accident, and you survived. I know this time of the year is difficult for you." Later, after Elmer has been interviewed, the psychiatrist tells the police that he was very sick. Eva was his childhood friend, and 8 years ago, when they were on their way to a party in the car crashed, resulting in the death of Eva and her parents, but Elmer survived. Ever since then, he has been recreating the illusion of her,
seeing her young, and then eventually growing old with him within a small amount of time, to create that illusion that she is still alive and still there. In his mind, he at first sees himself as the 6-year-old boy that friend was killed in the car accident. And then he adapts quickly and envisions what she would be like if she was still alive. The doctor then saying to Elmer's mother that he wants to take him in for a re-evaluation. Many months later, Elmer is sat in a mental hospital and is sat at the table with a small tea set. Eva then appears telling him that he has to take his medicine. I cannot keep relying on him to tell him what is right and what is wrong. Looking at his medicine, Eva then encourages him to take the pill. He then listens and takes it and swallows the pill. Eva then says, "There you go. That is the first step to getting well again. If you keep doing this, then you won't need me anymore." Elmer then smiles and says, "Thank you, Eva. I will never forget you. But you're not a real person anymore. You are just a fragment of my imagination. My real friend Eva died 10 years ago." Eva then said, "That is right. That is progress. I'll be here when you need me," as she disappears and fades away. Elmer then picks up the plastic teacup and raises it, saying "chin chin" before pretending to drink from it. The end.
Did you enjoy that story? Did you enjoy the twist also put onto that one? I bet you did not see it coming, or did you? Let us know down in the comments below. Tell us, did you enjoy these stories in this month's show that was told to you? Let us know down in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, to share with your friends, and to also subscribe to the official Random Horror YouTube channel now, and to also hit the notification bell so you can stay notified. And also, all of the social media links for Random Horror down below. The Facebook group, the Random Horror Madhouse, our Twitter and our Instagram are all linked down below in the description. So be sure to do all that. And until next time, don't have nightmares.